Hi, and welcome to our August meeting of US Reduces. It's an exciting meeting tonight. We have with us Kelley Dennings from the Center for Biological Diversity, and we're going to wait a minute or two until everybody sort of settles in. Um, so, Okay, I'd like to go through the agenda tonight. We're going to start with some announcements from Yayoi, and then we are going to, I don't know if Anne Marie is going to be here tonight. I understand she's quite busy, but I have a little bit of a rant, so I know that people expect a rant at the beginning of the meeting. And then we're going to put the spotlight on some of our new chapters, new Reduces chapters in different parts of the country. And we're going to put the spotlight tonight on Austin Reduces. And then Kelley Dennings is going to talk to us about the upgrading of the food codes from 2024. So, and we'll have plenty of time for questions and answers, and hopefully at the end, we'll also have time for a breakout social. So Yayoi?
Yes. Thank you so much, Joe. So I'm going to start with announcements. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Ian, if you could move to the next slide. Yes, announcements. I'm very pleased to announce that we have a new group again in New York State, in Auburn, New York. Congratulations to Annalise. Are you here today? Are you there? I think so. Hey, Annalise.
Hi.
Hi, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. This is so exciting. I'm looking forward to working on the sticker program and getting more businesses involved. So, yay. Thank you for telling me about it, Yayoi. I appreciate it.
Thank you for starting it. We are so excited. And I'm in Ithaca, New York, and she's in Auburn, which is like only an hour away. So we saw each other, and she's been like a tremendous force, and she's very passionate about a lot of things about environment. And we are very happy to have her join us. And so something new I started is to add a QR code. So if you have a phone, use the QR code on the screen, and you can go to her Facebook page and click like, because a new group needs lots of support. We can amplify on the social media, so please do that. And Ian will put the link in the chat as well. Thank you so much, Ian. Okay, so welcome, Annalise, and thank you. Could you please move to the next slide, please? Okay, so I also wanted to share about this other new group, also in New York. And I have a screenshot from her Instagram page, Southern Tier Reduces, and she's located also not too far from me in Ithaca. She's located in Corning, Elmira, the area in New York that's generally called Southern Tier, bordering Pennsylvania. And she's only like half an hour away from me, and we saw each other, and we are very excited that you are joining us. And she's doing a fantastic job on Instagram and Facebook. So I put the Instagram QR code, so please, scan it and follow her and support her work. She's already signed up a few businesses, and it's been really fantastic. So hey Emily, are you here?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Welcome. Thank you so much for all your hard work. Fantastic work. Thank you so much. Welcome.
Yes. And also just like huge shout out to you, Yayoi, because we're really modeling it off of Zero Waste Ithaca, and you have big shoes to fill, but there's just so much work to do in the community. And I just appreciate you as a resource and everybody else on this group for doing the good stuff.
Thank you so very much for such kind words. You know, I feel like before I know it, your Instagram account will have more followers because it is so good.
I hope so. That's what we're going for.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. Okay, please move to the next. Okay, a big announcement. We started a petition in New York. We are not quite happy with the situation around Bring Your Own in New York. It's quite restrictive, even though it's better than some other states. So we created this petition, and we have 25 people right now in this room. And I would like every one of you to sign it right now. It is very straightforward. It's all common sense ask. You can sign as individual and organizations. And Ian, could you please move the slide one more? Thank you very much. So right now in New York, we can not do BYO, bring your own, at restaurants and at grocery store delis, like hot bars and salad bars. And we want to be able to do that, and we know that's possible in a state like Oregon. So we want to catch New York up to the other states like California and Oregon. So that's really all. We are working with the legislators, and we proposed amendment language, and we want them to actually use the language next session and amend the bill, because the current bill that is in the New York State Legislature only confirms what's already allowed in New York, and it's not very helpful. We want to be able to do the BYO for the food takeout, and we want to be able to do the BYO for at the grocery store delis. So please sign, and even if you're not in New York, please sign. And I think because like what happens in New York and in other states like California, Oregon, Maine, Illinois have better BYO law. And if New York has one, New York passes this law with amendments, it will help the other states. It will help people in Nebraska or people in Florida and people in DC. So please sign. And with every state, we should support each other. So if anybody's gonna, start looking to do the same thing, then we will support. So please sign. I'd like you to sign, and if you could commit to find 5 people to sign this petition, please. That will be a lot of signers, and so please do that. I'd really appreciate that if you could help. And also, we have an Instagram post and Facebook post, and Ian, if you could, or Amy could put in the chat the link to those. If you could just engage with those posts with likes, comments, and save it.
I have a quick favor. Sorry.
Yes? Okay. And share it and those will help with the algorithm on the social media post. So I'd really appreciate that. We want to get thousands of signatures on this petition. And if you could sign as an organization, please sign as well. As a matter of fact, all the Reduces groups, I hope, can sign this petition. And this is the power of being a group. If you are, 2 or 3, you're already a group, and you can sign a petition. So please sign as an organization and help amend this bill in New York. Thank you so much for listening to my spiel. Could you move on to the next? Yes, I will let the Jill do this one.
All right. Some of you might remember that we have this Dunkin' Donuts Inspire Brands petition, and Dunkin' Donuts is one of the many companies that Inspire Brands owns or controls. Actually, they have about 35,000 different restaurants or franchises spread out over throughout the world. They're in 57 different global areas. And they do not allow, and I recently went in with my BYO container and said I wanted to get some coffee, and they said, we cannot let you use your container. And that led to a letter that most of you signed, saying that we wanted Inspire Brands to change its policy and allow customers to bring in and use their BYO containers. And we put a letter together with a lot of help from Yayoi and Beyond Plastics and some of the other groups. We had over 300 people sign it and over 60 organizations sign it. We sent the letter, I mailed the letter, certified tracking number, and we mailed that on July 2nd. I checked, it was received on July 9th. And the letter was a very nice letter. We can send you copies of that. And I am just absolutely, I'm floored by the fact that nobody even responded. It was sent to the CEO, Paul Brown of Inspire Brands, and also Christopher Fuller, their Chief Impact and Communications Officer, did not get a response saying, we got your letter, we're considering the policy or anything. So we have we have a Instagram and Facebook campaign now. This is an action item. Again, you could take copy of the QR codes and go on to your Instagram account and your Facebook account and write them, let them know that you are angry that they are not even considering changing their policy and allowing BYO. And BYO, as we know, is accepted for beverages in most states in the US and definitely abroad, because I've been in Scotland and Italy and other places, Ireland, and BYO is being used there. So please join this campaign. I am outraged, and I said so. Please, whatever you're feeling, let them know. Okay. I'm moderating, so let me get back.
All right.
Okay, Yayoi, talk about October.
October. Okay. So we meet every 2 months. So so please mark your calendar, first of all, if you haven't. The first Tuesday of the month this month is August, and we get October, December, February, April, June. These are the months we're gonna have meetings. So please save on your calendar. That's where we're gonna have the meetings at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Central. So please save these dates. If you could move the one slide more, please. Yeah, thank you. So our next meeting is in October. So this is Courtney Williams, and she's like a grassroots fighter in Westchester, New York. And if you don't know where that is, I think most people do, but it's like the north of New York City, and they have a big old incinerator, and it's an environmental justice community. And I met her during a conference called of Zero Waste New York. It's a new organization, but it's like a kind of like a alliance, a network of New York State waste reduction, zero waste organizations. And I met her there, and she's really fantastic and really great speaker. So I thought, I asked her if she could join, and she said sure. And so she's going to talk about the incinerator. And I think it's really important to, you know, keep in mind why we are doing this, like a bring your own campaign. You know, how much, you know, trash is in landfills and incinerators and things like that, and how toxic that becomes for the people who live near those solid waste facilities. So I think it'll be great. So please register for the October meeting now. The registration link is available. And Amy or Ian, please drop it in the chat. And please register now. And join us in October again. All right. Announcements. Oh, if you want to, we have like some 29 people in this room right now. And if you want to be put together in the same room in the breakout social, let Amy know, please, in the chat. Thank you very much. Or you can use this form as well. Thank you. All right. Next slide, please. I just realized we always have fantastic help from Iyo, who's, you know, right now handling the slide for us, and also, you know, putting the information in the chat. So I want to give you a big shout out to Iyo, and also big shout out to Amy, who's also handling the Zoom. And so I wanted to just say that. Thank you very much. Okay, and okay, let's move on to the next one. Oh, go back, please. Okay, local program spotlight. Austin Reduces. We have somebody from Texas this time. Yay! We love it. From, like, you know, with so many actions happening from all around the country. So we're gonna welcome Nancy
Hohengarten.
So sorry. Hohengarten. So welcome. Even if you could take down the slide for now, and so that Nancy can share her.
Yes, I am going to share my screen.
Thank you.
Oh, it says somebody, there we go. Okay. Okay. Can everybody see that? All right. Mark that. Okay. So I'm a volunteer with the Austin Reuse Coalition. And we are operating in the Austin area, which is, you know, a fairly large metropolitan area at this point. Our population places us within the top, I think, 11 cities in the country now. So we're rather a big area. Who we are. So this is our mission statement. A coalition dedicated to reducing waste and advancing reuse in the Austin area. We started in 2021. I became involved only in 2024, but it was started with a trash audit with the assistance of 5 gyres. And we found a lot of evidence of plastic waste polluting our city. This picture is from a recent party we had at my house. You can see we all have our reusable containers. We have happy hours at people's houses every few months. Our current committees are reuse in venues, so entertainment, large entertainment, music venues, We have a slide about that. Reuse in schools through one of our member organizations, the Plastic Reduction Project. They've led that. And then the Bring Your Own Cafe campaign, which I am working on and will share some info with you about. First, just to highlight the work that we're doing in Austin venues. You know, we have a reputation for having a lot of live music in Austin, so we have quite a few venues. And we have a committee that's been doing email and in-person outreach. They hosted a happy hour at one of the venues that does reuse. You can see down here, Saxon Pub is a very old institution bar, and they actually switched to reusable cups without us even asking. So that was a great thing. And they did a study that showed that it was less costly after 3 months to go with the reusables. So the current focus of that committee is to continue having some case studies, relationship building and reaching out, and trying to extend some of our City of Austin rebates for reuse. The BYO campaign started last summer as a project of a organization, Into the Sea, which is a coalition member. They recruited high school interns to start the project, and the interns designed this sticker and a brochure and started a spreadsheet for participating cafes and coffee shops. After the summer, they all went back to school, and myself and Shannon Bailey started the subcommittee to go back and work on all the places that they had discovered and add a bunch of our own. So we have been busy recruiting volunteers, and we had new stickers and stand-up cards developed this spring. This sticker has a QR code and email address that's no longer operational. For a long story you don't want to know. We now actually today, it went up one. We have 15 coffee shops and cafes participating by sharing the information. Here is what we are distributing. The round sticker is the sticker that can go on the door, the window, or wherever else they desire. The box is an actual card that we made as an option so that people who might not want a sticker might have another way to share that they're participating. We came up with this sort of coffee cup logo for the coffee campaign with the Reuse It Y'all saying, because in Texas there's all sorts of y'alls used and it's very popular, and so we thought it was a good way of communicating to our fellow Texans what we were about. And here is our new website, our Instagram, which hasn't changed. These small stickers in the middle are our giveaway stickers. So we have distributed them. We ordered 200. We're already needing to order some more. And so when someone goes into a shop and brings their own mug, they get a free sticker. So those have been actually pretty popular at the cafes. Here's some photos of some of the cafes and coffee shops that are involved. Our to-do list is basically add more shops. We would like to create a PSA for public radio in Austin, and would love to hear of anybody that has done a PSA on this issue to cheat, or maybe that's something that we could develop for all of us to to use and just, change the names a bit. Yeti, this is a Yeti cup. They are an Austin local and now international business. So what we would like to do is get them to partner with us. It certainly is something that they endorse, reuse of cups. So, and then the long run, we would like to work with a plastic reduction project who's a member to instill the reuse project that they've been doing in Ohio, in Columbus, Ohio, here in Austin. And they also do it on the West Coast. So that's something we're looking at once we have got our feet on the ground. And that's basically all I have to share. And if you didn't know, Texas bluebonnets are our state flower. And we have a lot of wildflowers thanks to Lady Bird Johnson. So with that, I will take any questions. You don't have to ask though.
Amy, could we perhaps put on the gallery view so we could see the people who are here and see, in case they can't raise their hands mechanically, they could raise their hands.
Hang on. Yeah, Sharon.
I think
She's, whoop.
I'm sorry. Sean, I'm sorry, like just a sec. I think if Nancy could turn off the screen sharing.
Yeah, I'll stop that.
Okay.
There
Right.
we go. So I said Sharon, but she was on mute. I saw her hand. There you go.
Okay,
Go
I'm good.
ahead.
All right. Oh, it sounds like a great project. Congratulations. I'd like to know how you get funding to produce all those products. Are you a nonprofit?
So Austin Reuse Coalition does not have the 501c3 status, but we use the plastic reduction organization, which does, as a pass-through. And so we have raised money just by calling friends, family, donated ourselves, and it goes to them, and then they have been paying for the printing. Let's
Stephanie,
Yeah, thanks. Love what you're doing. I love the fact that you've got the giveaway stickers. I just ordered DC Reduces stickers, but I hadn't thought about them to give to we have 70 establishments in DC now.
awesome.
I hadn't thought of giving them the stickers to give away. So I love that. I wrote it down. I'm going to try to do that. I wanted to ask you what the Columbus, Ohio project was.
So the plastic reduction project, you can look them up online, but they got funding from the city of Columbus, a grant to establish a returnable, reusable cup service. So we would eventually like to see that happening in Austin as well, so that people don't have to remember necessarily to bring the cup. There's I guess it's called Okapi in Washington State. I've seen, so I think other places are doing that as well. Let's see, Joe.
I saw somebody with a hand up before that we didn't get to, so.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay,
Go ahead, Joe.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, great, thank you. Great program, great initiative. We are just beginning the process in Fairfax County, in Northern Virginia. And sort of the question is, on the very beginning of the process, what are the steps to start getting motivated, the coffee shops or, the outfits, the very first step, because we are in the beginning of that. I've been collecting information and I was incredibly excited for the session tonight. Our local government is beginning to be motivated on that. And so we just want to punch them in the best possible way to start on a strong foot. So just any pieces of wisdom.
You know, we have been communicating with the city of Austin and Travis County. And I know that, you know, a lot of people on this Zoom call have done the same in their communities, but and same with how to get rolling. It is just a lot of showing up at coffee shops, emailing, calling, pestering. I went to one coffee shop 4 times before I could get them to put the sticker on. So
one at a time, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is just a lot, and that's why we recruited volunteers, because there are way too many coffee shops in this town.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I want Shannon.
I just wanted to add that we noticed too that as more are signing up, we're getting more traction because there's almost like a little competition. You know, what the others are doing it, that we need to do it too. You know, and plus we always give them, you know, the opportunity to give them a shout out on social media. So we're kind of advertising them as well for being sustainable and, you know, advertising their coffee shop.
Well, first, Nancy, I want to say something that congratulations and great work. And I want to add that in our experience in Columbia County, in part thanks to Paula, who's on this call, in addition to signing up cafes, coffee shops, and small restaurants, etc., we have been we've been pretty successful in getting to some of the cultural organizations. And I know we have a PS21, which is a performance space. They have concerts and dance and theater and all kinds of things. They are now using, instead of plastic cups for wine, they're using regular glass wine cups. And I know it's extra work collecting them at the end of the show, but they feel very good about reducing plastic by doing that. So don't overlook the cultural organizations in your particular area. Speak with them.
That is exactly what our venue committee is doing. Contacting the any type of venue to see if they will make that switch.
Our experience is that they want to do something positive, and if they can, they are eager to. And for those who have dishwashers on the premises, it's much easier, and they do save money in the long run.
Thanks. Okay, I think I might have used up my time. Any other? You can always.
I have a question. I don't know if you saw my hand raised or not, but I joined late, so my apologies. I'm wondering, are all the cafes pitching in to clean the reusable cups supply that you have put into the system? No,
our venue committee has some venues that are already doing that for themselves and have been helpful in introducing it to others. We are just asking individuals to bring their own cups.
Oh, got it.
Yeah,
okay.
And so that they remember to bring a cup and they don't use the single-use plastic.
Okay, and have you had any pushback around, I'm trying to get this implemented at the place I work, and so far people have been able to bring their own coffee cups, but we haven't been as fortunate with like salad bowls because we have salad bars. And I'm wondering, do you have any, or does anyone know of any resources I could use to push back and say, look, you don't need to worry, these are clean. If they're clean, we should be able to use them. And I don't know if that's a trickier thing to do, but I thought I would ask because we're trying to branch outside of just using mugs and cups. We want to use those in the salad bars that we have.
I suspect that much of what Kelley is about to talk about might touch on
awesome.
that.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, and it's a food code thing. So I'm gonna hang in there.
And by the way, good job. And I love your logo, which is got a cup. Who doesn't have a cup? So it really helps you think when you read it.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions before we move on? Okay, Yayoi, take it away for our next guest.
Okay, yes. So Thank you so much, Nancy. This was a fantastic presentation. It's really impressive how much you're doing in Austin. And now we are going to move on to our special guest speaker, Kelley Dennings. So I'm going to introduce her. She is a senior campaigner at the Center for Biological Diversity, and a chair of the Food Code Committee within Upstream's Reuse Solution Network, where I've been attending for the past couple of years. And that's how I met Kelley. And she's been working on this conundrum of the US Food Code for quite a while. So her work focuses on the links between reproductive health, consumption, and ecological crises. She has a background in waste management, forest conservation, and public health, and serves on Shareable's board. So we are so happy to have you, Kelley, and thank you for joining us. Please take it away. Ian, if you could take down the slide, she can share hers now. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you all. It is great to be with you. Let me bring up a few things here. Have the chat open. Yeah, so really happy to be here. Appreciate the opportunity, Yayoi. I hope to probably get us to the top of the hour, and then we'll take some Q&A. But stop me if you have questions. It's going to get really wonky pretty quick. So first, a quick introduction about the center. We're a national nonprofit conservation organization that works through a combination of science, the law, activism, and creative media to protect wildlife and the wild places they need to thrive. On the screen, you're seeing all of our different programs. I think many of you are from across the country, so our main headquarters are actually in Tucson, Arizona, but I live in Jacksonville, Florida. And I was hoping my colleague would be on today to kind of help me in the chat, but she is feeling ill today, so it's just me. So I want to acknowledge that portions of this presentation were created by Anthony Lamondo, a great PhD candidate that conducted much of this research. So the goal of the research that we were doing with him, and as Yayoi mentioned, this does go back to almost 2020, late 2020, early 2021. Our goal was to answer various questions regarding the permissivity to use reusable containers in food service at federal and state levels, and then advocate for the change that's needed. So as you'll soon hear, each state handles this differently. So we created a national database, and that is being generous. It's a lot of spreadsheets that lists the differences between states. So let's start with the federal food code. While we have the legislative, executive, and judicial branches, policy implementation is often handled at the departmental bureaucracy level. So food-related items are coordinated through the executive branches, Department of Agriculture, Department of Commerce, and Department of Health and Human Services. So the middle ones here that you're seeing. And the FDA, within the Department of Health and Human Services, works to protect the public's health and ensures the safety of our nation's food supply. So you can see that all of these kind of touch food, but we're going to focus on Health and Human Services and the FDA. So to dive deeper into the FDA and the Federal Food Code, it is not a law or regulation. It is a model that just provides advice. And while it is designed to be consistent with federal law, it makes no legal mandate. Its goal is to prevent contamination and the outbreak of disease. Okay, so on this slide, I just kind of went over the left-hand side around the federal government. So now let's go over the right-hand side. So, and this pertains to states. So this advice in the FDA food code can be adopted by the state. States may require changes to the food code be conducted via state legislature, through departmental rulemaking, or even delegated to local governments to allow variances. So to complicate all this even more, the federal FDA food code is updated every 4 years. But just because a new food code comes out at the federal level, it does not mean that states adopt it. So this map is showing the variety of states using various versions of the federal food code as guidance, because remember, it is just guidance. So Yayoi had mentioned to me that we have folks from New York, California, DC, Michigan, Nebraska, South Carolina, maybe in Texas on this call, right? So I know this map can be kind of hard to see. So New York is on the 2001 version of the federal food code, which is going to be important as we keep talking. You can see that California is on its own. You don't even have to follow the federal food code as guidance. So California is out there as an NA. DC, Michigan are on the 2009 version. And for Nebraska, South Carolina, and Texas are on the 2017 version, which is great news for you all. So we're going to talk more about these different versions in a minute. But if you didn't hear your state's year, maybe chat me and later we can bring this map back up. So, all right, to complicate it even further, states can adopt the federal food code verbatim, which is called a short form, or they can adopt bits and pieces of it, which is called a long form. So each state is on a different year, and each state may be doing long or short form. So for those in New York and California, that really makes it fun, right? Because you could be on an old version of the food code, but be doing long form, and then it just can look like a new food code, even though in theory its guidance is on the original earlier food code. So DC and South Carolina are long form, and Michigan, Nebraska, and Texas are short form. Now, when we say this, imagine the food code being 700 pages, right? So something in the food code could be short form, but they could make the section around reuse more long form. So anyway, it can vary even within the sections of the food code. So we just looked at the sections we care about. We did not look at all 700 pages. So as you can imagine, for those states on old food codes and short form, there isn't much leeway there. But for those states that are on old food codes but are doing a long form, there's hope, like DC. Okay, I saw that Kentucky was interested. So Kentucky, you are on the 2013. So that's also good news for you. You'll learn why in a minute. Okay. So these were the research questions that we were trying to answer. And I know you all are focused on BYO. You're also going to hear about third-party sanitation or restaurant provided. But so the first ones here were BYO. And these were really just like the personal experiences I've had that I know you all have had too. Like I go into a restaurant and say, you know, can I refill my own drink container? Can I refill my own food container? You know, can I use my own container for leftover food? So those were kind of the three BYO research questions we had. And I will say we were focused on restaurants. So we can talk about delis, we can talk about food trucks, we can talk about events, but this research in particular is around restaurants. So the next three questions that we have were, can an establishment refill a drink container that they provide? Can an establishment clean reusable containers that they provide? So this was the difference between like a drink container and a reusable food container. And can an establishment have a third-party organization clean the reusable container that the establishment provides? So those were our research questions. So what Anthony did was he looked at all the different federal food codes from 2001 to 2017. Remember, they come every 4 years. And he looked at these parts that, again, pertain to reuse. So while a new food code did come out in 2022, nothing related to reuse was changed. And so they were going to come out in 2021, but we had COVID, so it came out in 2022. And then every 2 years, they will do these amendments or addendums. And so there was a 2024 addendum, and we are waiting, but not very many people follow the addendums. Most states wait for the large, big food code to come out every 4 years. So we're expecting that to come out in 2026 now. So while something did come out in 2022, a new food code, nothing in the reuse sections were edited. So all of Anthony's data still stood. So these are the terms that he was looking for. And I'll briefly talk about how they relate to the work as we go on. But from now on, I'm going to mostly just refer to the 2017 and 2013 versions of the Federal Food Code, which applies to 32 states, including if Nebraska, South Carolina, and Texas are on this call, it would apply to you, and now Kentucky. So I'm going to keep going, and don't let this slide scare you. I'm happy to share these slides, but essentially on the left-hand side of the screen, what you're reading is when you go to a restaurant and you're at a buffet, they always ask you to take a new plate, right? So that's kind of the left-hand side of the screen. You got to get a new clean plate when you go to the buffet. On the right-hand side of the screen, this is talking about a restaurant provided to-go container. So this is a smoothie shop that I shopped at in Virginia, but we also have them down here in Florida. And so I bought this container from Tropical Smoothie, and then I can bring it back and return it. So that is very much allowed in the 2013 and 2017 food codes. It is a restaurant provided to-go container. But the stipulation is that this container has to be made for reuse. It's returned to the restaurant for cleaning before refilling. And the code specifically says you cannot bring a single-use container in. So, you know, I couldn't bring an empty Coke bottle and ask them to fill it from the fountain soda from an empty Coke bottle. And this is like double lined, you know, it is made for reuse. It's going to stand up well in a dishwasher. So this is allowed. You'll see this. This is why Starbucks was offering containers for a while. So again, on this right-hand side of the screen here, what's really important, especially for BYO, is this definition of a reusable container. So you will see this section 4-6 referenced in many food codes, and that means that the container has to be safe, durable, corrosion resistant, non-absorbent, sufficient in weight and thickness to withstand repeated washings, have a smooth finish and be easily cleanable, and resist pitting, chipping, grazing, scratching, scoring, distortion, and decomposition. So you can see that reuse is allowed, but they are setting BYO and other reuse, even from a restaurant, is allowed, but it kind of really has to meet these stipulations. So on this screen too, you're also seeing down here in yellow the refilling of consumer-owned personal takeout beverage containers, right? So you can take a personal drink container that meets all of these attributes that I just mentioned. Did the screen share stop for somebody? Oh, okay. Sorry, Cheryl, I'm not sure what's happening. So all of these attributes, if you have a container that meets all of these attributes, you could take it and fill it up in a fountain drink dispenser. So this could be a personal thermos, and they actually, in some food codes, use the brand name thermos, but it could be a personal thermos that you fill with black coffee. So for example, this heavy duty metal lined container, I can easily take into my nearest convenience center and get the, hot black coffee from a spigot and put it in here. So it is very important that how you get your drinks be from a gravity fed. So it's a spigot, it's a fountain soda machine, things like that. Yeah, somebody was reminding me the other day, like beer growlers and that kind of thing. So the one thing I'll say here is right now, under the 2013 and 2017 food codes, which are the most progressive and permissive, I cannot put a fancy coffee with milk in this. I could use a non-dairy creamer, that's fine. But they consider milk a time and temperature controlled substance, and that is technically not allowed. So while you can go into Starbucks, you can get your black coffee or you can get your tea or whatever, if it has milk, some kind of latte, it's technically not allowed. All right. So moving on. All right. I see some chatter. Okay. So this slide brings us to this idea of a food processing plant. So this is what it would look like if you had infrastructure that facilitated third-party washing and sanitizing. And so the food code calls that a food processing plant. Again, they must provide these really durable containers. It must be properly cleaned, sanitized, and visually inspected. They must use hot water that is under pressure and not recirculated. And again, the transfer of the container to the consumer must be contamination free. So you can see that there's a lot of opportunity here as long as you kind of follow these guidelines. But again, in these newer food codes. All right. So for those of you on the older food codes, i.e. New York, you can see Anthony put all this red in here. It's not as friendly. So thermal insulated bottles, non-spill coffee cups, and promotional beverage glasses may be filled by employees or the consumer if refilling in a contamination-free process. So you're still pretty good here on beverage containers. They go on to say, they use different language here, that a contamination-free process is defined by a delivery tube, chute, or orifice, and if the consumer self-service beverage dispensing equipment is designed to prevent contact with the lip surface of the glass that's being refilled. So now we say gravity fed, but you can imagine a spigot or a fountain container. And third-party washing entity or food processing plant is mentioned in these older codes, but they specify that it is only for beverage containers. So if you had a third-party sanitizer, it would still just be for beverages. Food is really non-existent in these older codes, reuse with food. Okay.
Kelley, I have a question. Is this like a New York State food code? Is it from the food code of New York State, or is it from federal code? I'm a little bit confused here.
I'm only talking about the federal food codes right now,
Okay.
of which, though, New York is based on these older federal food codes, because the federal food code is a guidance.
Okay.
But New York, and I'm about to move to New York, so
Okay.
I will go to my next slide. Okay, so I just went over those older food codes. So I'm looking at New York, assuming that we have a number of folks on here from New York. So you are based on the 2001 Federal Food Code, but you have changed some of that food code because you can change it. It's not verbatim. And I am not going to discuss New York City because they have their own food code. So I'm just talking about the state of New York. So Anthony's evaluation of the code shows some positive and negative changes, but none really related to BYO. They related to kind of third-party sanitizers. So there are clear regulations for establishment refillable drink containers, again, provided by the establishment, and processes but there were multiple definitions of food establishment, which Anthony thought were all more vague than the original food code. So there is opportunity for interpretation by a local health inspector. But so it is, BYO is allowed for beverages, but not for food. And you could have a establishment provided container, reusable container, in New York under a 2001 based federal food code. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what this stuff in the middle here means, but our little nomenclature. So let me come back to that in a minute. So knowing you all want to update the New York Food Code, we have Emily doing this research for all the states, to be honest. So only 5 states have updated their food code. New York's code for restaurants, schools, and food trucks is managed by the New York Department of Health, Bureau of Environmental Health and Food Protection, whereas the New York Department of Ag and Markets deals with groceries, bulk aisles, and delis. So this can be fairly common that if you're going to advocate for these changes, you are going to need 2 different administrative agencies to be working with. So, you know, Florida has 3 different entities. It all depends on what state you're in. So, yes.
Tell us about Florida. What agency do you work with?
I don't know, sorry. I actually haven't started to engage with Florida because I help every other state but my own.
Sorry to interrupt.
But there are 3. I'm sure it's Department of Health, Department of Ag, and one other. Okay. So, again, New York City's different. They have a Food Service Establishment Advisory Board, which advises the commissioner on matters related to food service establishment inspection program and its impact on the restaurant industry, food safety, and public health. So there are a number of ways to go about this. And, you know, you all are working on the legislative side of things. California changed theirs legislatively, Oregon changed theirs legislatively, as did Illinois, but Washington changed it administratively. It was just a rulemaking change. And even when you do it legislatively, sometimes it's like, okay, rulemakers, bureaucracy, go figure it out, but we want you to figure it out. So not always is the legislation super prescriptive. All right. So talking about Washington, this is one of the examples of the states that has updated their food code. They expanded the definition of a thermos, legally allowing additional containers for beverage refilling. They codified the ability to use personal containers in the bulk aisle if gravity fed. So when you go to the bulk aisle and you pull down like that, it's allowed. They didn't really necessarily get scoops, but we all know scoops are still found in bulk aisles. They added a statement that says a consumer can ask an employee to refill a visually clean consumer-owned container with food using a contamination-free process. So this does not mean that the employee has to do it, but you are at least allowed to ask them. And they allow for a variance to be given for those establishments that want to reuse. So this is another opportunity. Some states that allow more ability for their local governments. I think we had somebody here from Fairfax County on. So I was in Virginia, and Fairfax County actually has its own kind of ability to create policy there. It was carved out when the Commonwealth was established. And so Fairfax actually has a more permissive food code than the rest of the state of Virginia. And so this is also true in Massachusetts. There are various states where sometimes the local governments are have better food codes than the states. So this this Washington update did not open the floodgates, but it definitely helped. I think Heather, who's on our committee, would still love to do more. It's not a requirement. It still has to be gravity fed. It's not going to let your salad bars and things like that be allowed. Okay, I'll share one more here that I know Yayoi is a fan of. So Yayoi mentioned Oregon. So they were one of the 5 states that have updated their food code. And as you can see, BYO is allowed at delis, bulk bins, and beverage stands. And they also allowed it at restaurants. But you can see here that the establishment must create a written plan. And many of the states that are updating their food codes have kind of made this requirement so that when a local government health inspector comes in, and you see reuse happening, you can ask, oh, okay, how is this getting hot water washed? Let me see the containers. You know, how are you interacting with the customer, and does it come behind the counter, and how are you keeping all of these things contamination free? So that's pretty common to require this written plan. But yeah, Yoi, I do want to mention one thing. BYO still is not allowed at a salad bar in Oregon, nor is temperature controlled food. So that is really still a sticky wicket that I'll talk about in a minute. But the 5 state food codes that that were updated before the federal food code, none of them could get time and temperature control food through the process. So I will provide this link to the Oregon stuff in the chat here. Yeah, Cindy, I'm talking about Heather Trim and Joe. Yeah, Fairfax is lucky. You've got some good work there, and I can share your food code with you if you want. So here's what happened. We had this 2017 food code, a 2022 update that no changes were made to reuse. And then some recommendations were made in this interim period. Recommendations from public health experts and environmental health leaders to the FDA. And the coalition, which Yayoi has been on with me, helped create kind of this model reuse food code language that was submitted to the FDA. And this really was because the federal food code folks did not like to be behind the states that were being more progressive than them. So you're kind of seeing what we recommended to the FDA here, but I'm not going to go into detail because these recommendations were sent to the FDA. They had about a year and a half to review them. And then at the end of 2024, we got this amendment, an addendum, they call it, to the 2020 food code. And so this will officially get added to the 2026 food code. But what was great was they removed the term food processing plant, which really opens it up for BYO. They kept the type of container used for refilling. So you have all these very, strong containers. Both an employee and a consumer can now refill a container. And this would be in restaurants, hot bars, bulk aisle, or deli counters. They expanded to allow food along with beverages for refilling. So that was really, really big. And they removed this time and temperature controlled requirement, now allowing for hot and cold food and beverages. So even those 5 states that have already updated their food code, many didn't get time and temperature controlled food in there, but the federal food code, now has that, so they could go back and update again. They kept this requirement that it must be a contamination-free process, and there was no change into the ability to bring your own water container for refill. But I do want to just mention here a little bit about this type of container. So in this meeting where we were making recommendations to the FDA, there was a lot of discussion around the type of container. So this to me is like a thin plastic. It is a reusable container, right? So this probably wouldn't pass mustard, whereas this one that is heavy duty, double lined, or the metal one that's a thermos would pass more muster. So, and when you talk about food, like your glass jars are going to be much better for refill because we all know they're more sanitary than the plastic. And this plastic to-go container you can see is really thick. It actually has like NSF certified on the bottom. So this has gone through rigorous testing that it is not going to disintegrate in a hot water wash. What I want to point out to you is what they don't want to see is they don't want to see me bring in my yogurt container and try to reuse my yogurt container. This is specifically made for single use, even though I know we all think it could be reused and everything like that. This is what they really don't want to see. So anyway, I just wanted to go a little bit into the containers. All right, I know I'm going over here. So in conclusion, at the national level, looking at those states using the 2013 and 2017 food code, it matters if you're refilling it, it matters if it's food or beverage, it matters if it's your container or somebody else's container. So my goal really would be to ask that we try to make this chart less confusing, right? Like this is super confusing. So I did just do a presentation recently for Florida, and they want to do a BYO campaign, education campaign. So even for those folks that are on these older food codes, you can think about this in relation to it being tiered. So while we need to push for food policy improvements, we need to educate folks on what is currently allowed. And that's pretty much what you all are doing, right? All food codes, no matter how old, allow refilling of water bottles. And this should be priority number one. We need more public water fountains. We need mobile water refilling stations at events. Like water is allowed to be refilled, point blank. I think water is also a human right, but anyway, don't get me started. All food codes, no matter how old, allow refilling of BYO beverage containers for soda fountains or coffee makers with a spigot. This is pretty common. You're not going to find this, you're not going to get a soda fountain. You're not going to get soda from a fountain that isn't a spigot or something. So again, black coffee with non-dairy creamer is okay, but your milk, ice cream, whipped cream isn't allowed. Remember, you can bring BYO for restaurant leftovers, hot or cold, even if you haven't fully eaten it. So you could put your leftover food in here, i.e. doggy bag, because nobody else is going to touch it but you. Finally, in the food code nomenclature, which is where you're seeing this BYO beverage, BYO leftover, BYO refill, BYO refill means a consumer-owned container can be refilled with dry goods or hot or cold food. So here we're thinking takeout, food trucks, deli counter, bulk aisle. Technically, this is not allowed in any food code currently. It will be allowed in the 2026 if states adopt the new food code. And some states have carved out exceptions for this for bulk dry goods. So as I said, you could be on an old food code, but you've carved out some exceptions. So I wanted to also share in the chat, various states are working on different educational materials. So in the chat, you're seeing a Google Doc where I've compiled all the different educational items that have been coming together. And specifically the Oregon one here, again, was where I took those screenshots from. Okay, so finally, if you want to get involved in the work, I do facilitate this monthly call through Upstream's Reuse Forum. You can reach out to me if you want an invite. And this is my email. And if you want to get your state's food code data from Anthony, sorry, that is not what I wanted. If you want to get your state's food code from Anthony, you can fill out this form. Hopefully that works. And I will send you your state data. Sorry, I kind of, well, I took 30 minutes. Yeah, we thought it'd take 30.
Kelley, first, thank you so very much. You have given us so much to chew on. Wow. So let's take some questions now. I know my head is very filled with things.
It's a lot.
Oh, it is a lot, but great slides and good breakdown of very complex different codes in different states. So I've just lost my Zoom screen, but here it's back. So just Shara?
Hi, that was amazing. And my head is spinning too. So in New York City, I don't know, a year and a half ago, I had a conversation with a person from the Department of Health. And I said, why can't we take out prepared foods from a deli? Oh, no, you can't do that. So in another place where I live in Massachusetts, you can do that. And what they do is they put a sheet of paper on the scale and they to keep the scale from being contaminated, they put your container on it and then they put the food in. So he said, oh, we would do that. That would be perfectly okay. And the other thing is that the deli or the restaurant or the takeout place would have to put signage up behind to say exactly what they've done and why and how they're doing it, and then report that to the Department of Health. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
Yeah, that is one of the I'll get a little bit more wonky. The Conference for Food Protection was the name of the group that provided this advice to the FDA, and that is exactly what they recommended in their guidance. I think the FDA just doesn't want to be that prescriptive, but I'm trying to find their guidance document now so that you can see what they recommend. But yes, that is what they said.
I'm going to, because we wanted to save some time for the social, and like Stephanie, I want to get us out by 8:30. We have 3 people with hands up, Shara, Stephanie, and Emily. Please just go one after the other as soon as you get your questions answered.
Sure. I actually don't have a question. It's more of a statement. So I guess just for someone, I have a zero waste store in Massachusetts. I've done a lot of work around trying to get, plastic reduction and BYO and all those kinds of things. I guess just sort of advice to others here, to the degree it's helpful, is that I think it's really just important to understand the food code and how that affects your the area that you're in, because that affects a lot of what a restaurant or other food establishments are able to do or what they believe they are able to do. So I think that is really key, and why I think that the stuff that Kelley presented is really important. And even if you didn't understand it, because it is really complicated, I think that's part of it, is that it's not straightforward. There's all of these pieces to it. And even if you didn't follow along what she was saying, the fact is she has an amazing amount of information and is an amazing resource. So as you start to go down whatever kind of path you're going down in your state or your municipality, she's an amazing resource. So I think that's it's more just having this awareness of knowing what the barriers are, and they're real barriers for the restaurants that are doing this, and then trying to help the restaurants and food establishments get past them or educate them. So for example, as she said, beverages, like you can bring in your coffee container to pretty much any cafe as long as it's a contamination-free process, which in most cases it is. So that is like an easy piece to get. So again, without getting into the detail, I think it's just the idea of the takeaways are that it is a little complicated. And when you hear the pushback from different restaurants and food establishments that you're dealing with, they are real. And even if they want to do something, at the end of the day, if they get sued by a customer or they get in trouble by the state, like that's a bigger issue than trying to do what they may or may not want to do, like from a green perspective. So anyway, that's my big point.
Stephanie.
Great point. And building on that, Kelley, I wish I had known about you 3 years ago when I started DC Reduces. I have a lot of questions about Washington, DC, but I'm the only one on the call from Washington, so I'll reach out separately. My question that I think affects everyone is, what happens when you approach, in the case of one of our Reduces colleagues, approach, say, a coffee shop, and we know in DC that they can take customers' reusable clean containers and they say, no, they're not going to take them because that's their restaurant policy. Is there, they don't have to, I guess.
No, no, none of the food codes require it. You can ask it, but it is their prerogative to decline. I think if you're going into like a federal corporate type place, you're gonna have more difficulty than a local spot, only because they're gonna follow the guidelines, as you can see, in 50 different states, and so they're gonna go to the lowest common denominator. But yeah, and it's also very common to hear the health inspectors tell you that they have the autonomy to interpret the food code as they wish. And so each health inspector is different. And that matters.
Okay, Emily, and I'm going to ask Tracy, I know you have your hand up, to please write your question in the chat, just so we have time for the social part of it, the breakout rooms. Emily, where did you go?
Oh, okay. Yeah, my question is, yeah, I know there's a lot of education to be done around BYO, and I know BYO is doing a lot with the state legislators on trying to get certain wording into the legislation. But who are the opponents? Are there like lobby groups, plastic lobby groups that are actively trying to get this food code, you know, lowered or not enhanced like we are proposing to do?
No, I haven't seen them. It's really your corporate food entities that, you know, your Aramarks, your Krogers, your McDonald's of the world, that are hesitant.
Okay, I think
Jill, can I just say something? I just want to thank her and say what I want to use this for. Kelley, this was excellent. I'm sorry I was late. I was harvesting vegetables. I am active in my food co-op, which is a very large food co-op in Albany, New York. And I think they need some education, especially on the beverage question. And so I will bring this to them. I'm the founder of the Environment Committee. So I want to thank you very much.
Happy to be a resource. Y'all have my email, and I will share the presentation with Yayoi.
Okay, again, thank you so much. We have about 10 minutes left for our breakout and our wrap up, which is not very much time. You might want to think for a breakout question, did your group do anything for Plastic-Free July? Are you thinking of doing something for the fall? Is there some challenge or some success that you want to share? And let's see if we can go quickly into the breakout room, and we'll see you soon.